Hi, my name is Michael Guzwall. I'm a junior at USF studying entrepreneurship and innovation, and this is part two.
This is part two of my creativity and innovation video. So to start off, what I learned from the chapter in the modules about creativity and the definition of it, one thing I really thought stood out for me was this formula that was created by Ruth Noller and Sydney Barnes. It's just saying creativity equals the function of attitude with application of knowledge, imagination, and evaluation. Um, it's kind of saying creativity comes from your attitude focused on the knowledge that you have that you bring in that can orchestrate those creative ideas, the imagination that comes with that knowledge and how you can reevaluate that knowledge, and then yeah, evaluation of that. So the podcast that was in the modules um, had David Burkus, an author, come on and talk about his thoughts and his new book about the myths around creativity. And one thing he talked about is writer's block, and how um, to him it's not really necessarily a thing. It's just where your creativity isn't getting the nurture it needs to be kindled and have time to really incubate those new ideas. So one of the myths that stood out to me was the Eureka myth. This was talking about how there aren't necessarily light bulb moments, like those aha moments. It's rather that incubation I was talking about earlier, that coming together of ideas from the past and making them into something new. Um, I like to think of it like a puzzle piece, or like a so like the puzzle pieces, put them together, you see the big picture. But then creativity comes in where you're necessarily like taking the picture that's already there, maybe taking out a few pieces, putting your own spin on things, but it's still the same picture. It's just you're adding your own thought process and your own ideas to the base picture. Myth number two, creativity is the result of innate talent. This one was surprising to me. Um, when you think about like geniuses in their fields like Einstein, Aristotle, these kinds of people, it seems like creativity is just part of their being. They're just leaders in their field, but it's not really the case. In general, everyone has creativity to some extent. It's just having the ability to nurture that creativity and incubate it into um, coherent thoughts is um, the real aspect behind it. So that incubation idea, um, that was talked about so much, where you can let ideas generate. And Stephen King kind of has this process when he's writing books where if he gets stuck on one, he'll put it away and then start working on another, giving him that time to really incubate those ideas, let them sit, think it over while he works on something else, and then he'll come back and look at it again and realize, oh, like this is what I can do differently. So creativity is really important to companies and organizations, such as Amazon. They're always looking for new creative ideas, things that'll put them ahead in the market, um, give you that competitive edge over um, other companies that are out there. It's definitely something that's based into the culture of a lot of companies. They're always trying to push the envelope, trying to um, start trends before anyone else does, really get that creative aspect flowing. So this is the creative change model that is discussed in the textbook. Um, it starts off with people. with processes, give them the right environment, facilitate this idea, and this interaction leads to theory solutions, um, thoughts coming together through diversity, and it leads to um, ultimately creative change, whether it be business setting, social setting. Um, and then two common approaches to creative thinking would be convergent and divergent thinking, which is talked about in the text. Convergent thinking is really making the decision, kind of like a judge, just saying the rule of law, saying this is the reasoning. And then divergent, it's really coming up with new ideas and that creative aspect a little bit more. Um, the exercise that we did recently with the umbrellas and writing the 50 things we can do with them really was a good example for me when I thought about divergent thinking and how that applies. Um, common approach to creative thinking, brainstorming, something we do all the time, just running through ideas, seeing what works, what doesn't, just name them off the top of your head. Um, Also, the incubation that I referenced earlier, um, just giving those ideas time to sit and having the knowledge of the world around you and having really sparks for that creative energy to flow. Um, and then a real world example of this creative change process, you can see it with Tesla and these electric cars that are coming out. They were able to take an idea um, through the automotive industry and facilitate change. Um, they took the electric car, something no one ever thought would be possible 20 years ago, and making it into a reality where now it's as cheap as a normal car at some points. And it's that creative change of bringing people together to facilitate those ideas and bring them into the reality that makes this possible.